All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Sunil Barma, and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Kidarnath to launch key infrastructure projects worth 130 crore rupees. Prime Minister celebrates Diwali with soldiers at Naushera in Jammu and Kashmir. Lauds Naushera Brigade for carrying out surgical strike. India's vaccination coverage crosses 107 crore 73 lakh mark. Britain approves world's first oral pill to treat COVID-19. India urges global community to accord priority to solar power in energy deployment. Gujarati New Year, Bestu Varsh, being celebrated in different parts of the country today. Stock market begins Samvat 2078 on positive note. Sensex ends above 60,000. In T20 Cricket World Cup, Sri Lanka eliminate defending champions West Indies and India to take on Scotland in Dubai this evening. As India created history by administering 100 crore doses of vaccine against COVID-19, All India Radio salutes all the doctors, nurses, other frontline workers and all those who got vaccinated and made this possible. Even though the country has achieved this feat, we caution our listeners that the battle against COVID is not yet over. We appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and also help others get vaccinated. During the festival season, please follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011 2397 8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Kidarnath, Uttarakhand this morning. The Prime Minister will offer prayers at the Kidarnath temple. Mr. Modi will thereafter inaugurate Sri Adi Shankaracharya Samadhi and unveil the statue of Sri Adi Shankaracharya. The Samadhi has been reconstructed after the destruction in the 2013 floods.
देश भर के 4 धाम यात्रा पर आने वाले लोग जिन्हें पता है हमने 12,000 करोड़ के 4 धाम को जोड़ने वाले नए रोड बनाने का काम आरंभ कर दिया है। आधुनिक कनेक्टिविटी की व्यवस्था आरंभ कर दी है। अब ये केदार धाम इस प्रकार से बनेगा, फिर एक बार झांझरमान मेरा केदारनाथ बनेगा, भव्य होगा, दिव्य होगा। ये 125 करोड़ देशवासियों की श्रद्धा का केंद्र बन रहा है। जो 125 करोड़ देशवासियों का सपना है, उनको पूरा करने के लिए काम कर रही है। काम उत्तराखंड की धरती पे हो रहा है, लेकिन काम हिंदुस्तान के जन जन के लिए हो रहा है। भोले बाबा को वंदन करता हूं।
Mr. Modi will review and inspect the completed and ongoing works along the Saraswati Astha Path. The Prime Minister will also address a public rally. Mr. Modi will inaugurate key infrastructure projects which have been completed, including Saraswati Retaining Wall Astha Path and Ghats, Mandakini Retaining Wall Astha Path, Tirth Purohit Houses and Garud Chatti Bridge on River Mandakini. The projects have been completed at a cost of over 130 crore rupees. Mr. Modi will also lay the foundation stone for multiple projects worth over 180 crore rupees, including the redevelopment of Sangam Ghat. Special programs will be organized at 9 religious places in Maharashtra at the time of the inauguration and dedication of development works at Kidarnath by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Arrangements have been made for the live telecast of the program on a big screen at Tuljapur Temple in Maharashtra. Prominent spiritual leaders, monastery heads, sadhu and saints will be present on the occasion. Similar arrangements have been made at other pilgrimage centers in the state. We have more from our correspondent.
Special programs have been organized at Mahur, Pandharpur, Aundha Nagnath, Parli Vaijnath, Trambakeshwar, Tulzapur, Bhimashankar, Grushneshwar, Berur and Kolhapur in Maharashtra on the occasion of the inauguration of various development projects at Kidarnath today. Devotees in Tulzapur will be able to watch the live telecast of the program on a big screen outside famous Tulza Bhavani temple. Tulza Bhavani temple is one of the most important pilgrim centers in the state, and devotees not only from Maharashtra but also from other parts of the country visit the temple. Considering the significance of this pilgrimage, Union Home Minister Amit Shah had expressed his willingness to develop this place into world-class religious tourist destination. Shailesh Patil, AIR News, Mumbai.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said all Jawans are like his family and the country's soldiers are the security shield of Ma Bharati. Addressing the soldiers at Naushera in Jammu and Kashmir yesterday, Mr. Modi said, "It is because of the brave soldiers who guard the borders without sleep. The people inside the country can sleep peacefully and they can celebrate festivals with happiness." Mr. Modi said he is at Naushera not as a Prime Minister, but as a member of the family of the soldiers.
आप लोग माँ भारती का एक जीता जागता सुरक्षा कवच है। आपके सीने में वो जज्बा है जो 130 करोड़ देशवासियों को भरोसा होता है, वो चैन की नींद सो सकते हैं। आपके सामर्थ्य से देश में शांति और सुरक्षा एक निश्चिंतता होती है, एक विश्वास होता है।
Mr. Modi said he has spent each Diwali with soldiers guarding borders. The Prime Minister also talked about the growing self-reliance in defence resources as opposed to earlier period of dependence on foreign countries.
डिफेंस सेक्टर में आत्मनिर्भरता का संकल्प उन पुरानी स्थितियों को बदलने का एक सशक्त मार्ग है। देश के रक्षा खर्च के लिए जो बजट होता है, अब उसका करीब 65% देश के भीतर ही खरीदी पर खर्च हो रहा है। हमारे देश ये सब कर सकता है, करके दिखाया है। एक अभूतपूर्व कदम उठाते हुए अब भारत ने ये भी तय किया है कि 200 से ज्यादा साजो सामान और उपकरण अब देश के भीतर ही खरीदे जाएंगे.
Mr. Modi said, "Young India is flourishing with startups that are doing wonders, and soon we will emerge as major defense exporters."
उत्तर प्रदेश और तमिलनाडु में बन रहे डिफेंस कॉरिडोर इस स्पीड को और तेज करने वाले हैं। ये सारे कदम जो आज हम उठा रहे हैं वो भारत के सामर्थ्य के साथ साथ डिफेंस एक्सपोर्टर के रूप में हमारी पहचान को भी सशक्त करने वाले हैं।
The Prime Minister expressed happiness that the participation of women in the country's defense is touching new heights. He said, "Women are being given permanent commission in the army now." The Prime Minister emphasized that Indian military power needs to be expanded and transformed according to the changing needs. Giving a strong warning to terror sponsors, the Prime Minister said, "Terrorists made many attempts to disrupt peace in Jammu and Kashmir, but all were thwarted by our forces."
नौशेरा के शौर्य का ये सिलसिला तब से जो शुरू हुआ, न कभी रुका है, न कभी झुका है। यही तो नौशेरा है। सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक में यहाँ की ब्रिगेड ने जो भूमिका निभाई वो हर देशवासी को गौरव से भर देता है और वो दिन तो मैं हमेशा याद रखूंगा, क्योंकि मैं तय किया था सूर्यास्त के पहले कि सब लोग लौट करके आ जाने चाहिए और मैं हर पल फोन की घंटी पर टिक टिका के बैठा हुआ था कि आखिर से आखिर मेरा जवान पहुंच गया क्या, और कोई भी नुकसान किए बिना ये मेरे वीर जवान लौट करके आ गए, पराक्रम करके आ गए, सिद्धि प्राप्त करके आ गए। सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के बाद यहाँ अशांति फैलाने के अनगिनत कुत्सित प्रयास हुए, आज भी होते हैं, लेकिन हर बार आतंकवाद को मुंह तोड़ जवाब मिलता है। असत्य और अन्याय के खिलाफ इस धरती में एक स्वाभाविक प्रेरणा है।
India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed the 107 crore landmark milestone. Till now, more than 107 crore 74 lakh 22,000 vaccine doses have been administered, while more than 73 crore 94 lakh doses have been given as the first dose. 33 crore 79 lakh doses have been given as the second dose. Britain's health regulators have approved the world's first pill to treat cases of symptomatic COVID-19. Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, MHRA, said the antiviral Largevrio molnupiravir has been found to be safe and effective at reducing the risk of hospitalization and death in people with mild to moderate COVID-19. who are at the increased risk of developing severe disease. Molnupiravir, originally created to treat flu, could go on to be prescribed twice a day to vulnerable patients recently diagnosed with COVID-19 after it proved effective in clinical trials. Molnupiravir has been authorized for use in people who have mild to moderate COVID-19 and at least one risk factor for developing severe illness. Such risk factors include obesity, old age over 60, diabetes, mellitus or heart disease.
After the centre's decision to cut excise duty on petrol and diesel, several BJP and NDA-ruled states announced reduction in value-added tax VAT on fuel to provide further relief to consumers. The centre on Wednesday announced slashing of excise duty on petrol by 5 rupees and on diesel by 10 rupees. The centre had also urged the states to reduce VAT on petrol and diesel. The stock markets kicked off Samvat 2078 on a positive note yesterday, with the benchmark indices gaining during the ceremonial 1-hour-long Muhurat trading session. The Sensex ended the session at 60,068, a gain of 296 points or 0.5%. The Nifty 50 ended with a gain of 0.5% or 88 points at 17,917. A majority of the components on both indices ended with gains. This was the fourth straight year the market has notched up gains on Muhurat Day.
India has urged the global community to make solar power the priority in energy deployment at the COP26 Climate Summit in Glasgow, UK. Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupendra Yadav, urged that grid interconnection will play a key role in revamping regional cooperation and transition to the low-carbon power system. He was speaking at the special event organized by the International Solar Alliance in partnership with UK under the theme Green Grid Initiative, One Sun, One World, One Grid, GGI-OSOWOG, yesterday. All the speakers wholeheartedly supported the GGI-OSOWOG initiative announced jointly by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister of UK Boris Johnson at COP26.
With the UN Climate Summit or the Conference of Parties COP26 in Glasgow around, All India Radio brings you a ready reckoner every day. Under the COP26 Explainer series, we shall bring you daily the terms and concepts in use during the conference. Today we shall talk about carbon trade. Carbon trade is the buying and selling of credits that permit a company or entity to emit a certain amount of carbon dioxide. The carbon credits in trade are authorized by governments with the goal of gradually reducing overall carbon emissions. Carbon emissions trade originated a United Nations treaty called the Kyoto Protocol. It set the goal of reducing global carbon emissions and mitigating climate change from 2005. AIR News spoke to Namrata Mukherjee, a renewable energy and climate policy expert, on the carbon trade and how it works.
Carbon trading is a tested market mechanism for making polluters pay. It can help reduce pollution, increase job opportunities, and make the economy more energy efficient. Simultaneously, it can generate funds for clean energy transition. There are at least 45 countries in the world that have a carbon trading program. These programs put a cap on the total emissions in a region or system. The goal is simple: to make it expensive to emit carbon dioxide, and so companies and countries find ways to reduce their emissions. Else, they end up paying more.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives at Kidarnath to launch key infrastructure projects worth 130 crore rupees. Prime Minister celebrates Diwali with soldiers at Naushera in Jammu and Kashmir. Lauds Naushera Brigade for carrying out surgical strike. India's vaccination coverage crosses 107 crore 73 lakh mark. Britain approves the world's first oral pill to treat COVID-19. India urges global community to accord priority to solar power in energy deployment. Gujarati New Year, Bestu Baras, being celebrated in different parts of the country today. Stock market begins Samvat 2078 on a positive note. Sensex ends above 60,000. And in T20 Cricket World Cup, Sri Lanka eliminate defending champions West Indies and India to take on Scotland in Dubai this evening. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
Gujarati New Year, Bestu Varsh, is being celebrated in different parts of the country today. Gujarati New Year is celebrated by people sporting new clothes, visiting the temples and meeting friends and relatives. Women also prepare delicious sweets and snacks, which are distributed among all the neighbors and relatives. Many businessmen and traders believe in starting their fresh financial accounts by bidding adieu to the old ones. Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted people on the occasion of Gujarati New Year while celebrating Diwali with soldiers in Naushera yesterday.
देश के अन्य हिस्सों में बड़ी संख्या में लोग आज दिवाली का जब दूसरा दिन होता है तो नववर्ष की भी शुरुआत करते हैं और हमारे यहाँ तो हिसाब किताब भी दिवाली से पूरा होता है और दिवाली के दूसरे दिन से शुरू होता है। खास करके गुजरात में नया साल होता है तो मैं नौशेरा की इस वीर भूमि से गुजरात के लोगों को भी और जहाँ जहाँ नववर्ष मनाते हैं उन सबको भी अनेक अनेक मंगल कामनाएं उनके लिए देता हूँ।
Govardhan Puja is being celebrated in different parts of the country today. Govardhan Puja is celebrated a day after Diwali. In Uttar Pradesh, Govardhan Puja is being celebrated with religious fervour, especially in Mathura and Vrindavan areas. More from our Lucknow correspondent.
Foreigners, locals as well as pilgrims from all over the country are worshipping Lord Krishna at various temples of Mathura, Vrindavan on the occasion of Govardhan Puja. Devotees are also doing the historic parikrama of sacred hillock Govardhan. Devotees are offering lavish chappan bhog to the god and make the hillock of cow dung called Govardhan. People also decorate their cows on this occasion. In Chitrakoot today, famous Latmar Diwali and folk dance will be performed. Here, unique donkey fair will be organized on the banks of Mandakini river. In Lucknow, sky is full with colorful kites as people here traditionally celebrate Jamghat on the next day of Diwali. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Lucknow.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events are being organized by the government as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Now let's listen to a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. India's glorious fight for freedom is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of this valiant struggle every day. In London, he befriended Sri Aurobindo Ghosh, Atul Prasad Sen and Sarojini Naidu, among others, and together they promoted Dadabhai Nauroji in the British Parliament. In 1894, in a stunning move, Chittaranjan Das gave up his lucrative legal practice and plunged headlong into the independence movement against the British colonial government.
Chittaranjan Das successfully defended Aurobindo Ghosh on charges of involvement in the Alipur bomb case in 1909. In his Uttarpara speech, Sri Aurobindo gratefully acknowledged that Chittaranjan Das saved him. Chittaranjan Das was actively involved in the activities of Anushilan Samiti. He was a leading figure in Bengal during the non-cooperation movement of 1919 to 1922 and initiated the boycott of British-made clothes setting an example by burning his own European clothes and wearing khadi.
C.R. Das was elected as the first mayor of Calcutta Municipal Corporation in 1924. He was a believer in non-violence and constitutional methods for the realization of national independence and advocated Hindu-Muslim unity, cooperation and communal harmony and championed the cause of national education. Chittaranjan Das emerged as a distinguished Bengali poet when, during the troubled days of the national movement, he published the first 2 volumes of his collection of poems, titled Malancha and Mala. In 1913, he published Sagar Sangeet, the Songs of the Sea.
Namiye nao gyaner bojha, soite nari bojhar bhar, amar সকল অঙ্গ হাঁপিয়ে উঠে নয়নে তেরে অন্ধকার.
In 1925, Chittaranjan's health began to fail due to overwork. Chittaranjan went to Darjeeling to recuperate his health. Mahatma Gandhi visited him and stayed with him for some days. Deshbandhu Chittaranjan Das passed away on 16th of June 1925.
আজি হৃদয় মোর ছিঁড়েছে বন্ধন.
The funeral procession in Calcutta was led by Mahatma Gandhi, who said that Deshbandhu was one of the greatest of men who dreamed and talked of freedom of India and of nothing else. C.R. Das's heart knew no difference between Hindus and Muslims, and that he bore no ill will to even Englishmen.
প্রভাতে জাগ্রত হৃদি শেষ করো গান, আমার জীবন ভরা বিশ্বের আহ্বান.
Today we remember the Lion of Bombay, Firoz Shah Mehta, who died on 5th November 1915. He was born on 4th August 1845 in Bombay and graduated from Elphinstone College in 1864. Mehta went to Lincoln's Inn in London to study law.
After coming back to India, he raised the need for reforms of the Bombay Municipal Government and wrote the Bombay Municipal Act of 1872, earning him the title of Father of Bombay Municipality. He became the Municipal Commissioner of Bombay Municipality in 1873 and its president 4 times.
Mehta was one of the founding members and president of the Indian National Congress in 1890 held in Calcutta. He published the Bombay Chronicle, which detailed the treatment of Indians in South Africa.
When Gandhi arrived in India, Firoz Shah Mehta presided over a public meeting to welcome him on January 12th, 1915. He died later that year in Bombay. AIR salutes one of the earliest leaders of the Indian nationalist movement.
On November the 5th, 1945, the INA trials began at the Red Fort. The surviving members of the INA were tried by the British colonial government for treason. However, the decision to make the Red Fort trials public proved to be a grave miscalculation on the part of the British, as it led to a new wave of nationalism.
The progress of the trial led to mutiny within the British Army, most notable being the mutiny of the Royal Indian Navy. Although the mutiny was quickly put down, the British realized that they were effectively losing the support of the British Indian Army, the very institution that kept them in power for so long.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
स्वाधीनता आंदोलन के दौरान भारतीय जनमानस को उत्प्रेरित कर स्वतंत्रता का अलख जगाने और मातृभूमि के प्रति सेवा, समर्पण और त्याग की ज्वाला प्रज्वलित कर देने वाले अमर गीतों पर आधारित विशेष कार्यक्रम आजादी के तराने सुनना न भूलें। FM गोल्ड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर प्रत्येक शुक्रवार शाम 4:45 पर परिक्रमा कार्यक्रम के अंतर्गत आजादी के तराने सिर्फ आकाशवाणी पर।
In ICC T20 Cricket World Cup, Sri Lanka beat West Indies by 20 runs in their last match of the ongoing T20 World Cup in Abu Dhabi last night. In another match, Australia beat Bangladesh by 8 wickets to move above South Africa in Group 1 in Dubai. Today, India will take on Scotland at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium at 7:30 p.m, while New Zealand meets Namibia in Sharjah at 3:30 p.m. All India Radio is broadcasting the ball-by-ball commentary of the World Cup matches.
The air quality in the national capital has reached severe category. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, the overall air quality index of the national capital was recorded 446 at 7 a.m. today. And now let us take a look at the weather forecast for today. The national capital Delhi will have a partly cloudy sky, shallow to moderate fog in the morning. The temperature will vary between 14 and 29 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a partly cloudy sky. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Kolkata will have mainly clear sky. The city observed minimum temperature of 21 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 30 degrees. Hyderabad may have rain or thunder showers which would occur towards evening or night. The city will observe a maximum temperature of 30 degrees Celsius and the minimum was 22 degrees. Srinagar will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Jammu will have partly cloudy sky, becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Leh is likely to witness light snow. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. The temperature will hover between 2 and 20 degrees Celsius. Shillong will witness partly cloudy sky as well will have mainly clear sky. Kohima will witness mainly clear sky and Gangtok will have mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. The headlines in today's e-papers focus on different news stories. The Indian Express leads with the headline, "Need to step up defence in tune with change in world, says PM Modi." The PM has been quoted addressing soldiers on Diwali at the Nowshera sector in Jammu and Kashmir. BSF Pakistan Rangers exchange sweets on Deepavali, reports The Hindu. Government looks to net $30 billion in fresh funds through PLI scheme, headlines The Business Standard. The government is banking on its production-linked incentive scheme to kick off substantial fresh investments, writes the paper. And finally, as travel eases, service sector activity expands fastest in 10 years, headlines The Tribune.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Kidarnath to launch key infrastructure projects worth 130 crore rupees. Prime Minister celebrates Diwali with soldiers at Nowshera in Jammu and Kashmir. Lauds Nowshera Brigade for carrying out surgical strike. India's vaccination coverage crosses 107 crore 73 lakh mark. Britain approves world's first oral pill to treat COVID-19. India urges global community to accord priority to solar power in energy deployment. Gujarati New Year, Bestu Barish, being celebrated in different parts of the country today. Stock market begins Samvat 2078 on positive note. Sensex ends above 60,000. In T20 Cricket World Cup, Sri Lanka eliminates defending champions West Indies, and India to take on Scotland in Dubai this evening. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.